I'm Chris Lewis, engineer for the Lakeville Fire Department, and welcome to another edition of LFD On Call. Today we're coming to you from the LFD Open House. Let's take a look at what's coming up on this edition of On Call. We stop in at this year's Fire Prevention Open House and check out all that happened at this annual event. Then Fire Chief Mike Meyer highlights a training session on firefighter safety and survival. We answer another question in Ask the Firefighter. I will get you caught up on the latest happenings around the fire department, and Spot the Fire Dog gets an up-close look at how fire sprinklers work. The annual LFD Open House gives residents an opportunity to get an up-close look at a variety of things related to the department. It is held the second Tuesday in October during Fire Prevention Week. So on this edition of On Call, we thought we would give you a look at some of the highlights at this year's open house.
Tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
Welcome to another edition of Chief's Corner. I'm Fire Chief Mike Meyer, and today I'm joined by District Chief Tabor Aiken. Welcome, Tabor.
Thanks, Chief.
What are we doing tonight for training as far as what does this encompass that we're doing here at this site?
We are working on firefighter safety and survival tonight, and we have 3 separate stations that firefighters will be rotating through.
Okay, let's talk about the one right behind us that we can see a little bit of smoke coming out the window. What does that one entail?
Sure, so firefighters in that scenario would be working through a mayday where a firefighter has entered the building, has become trapped. The original path that the firefighter used is now blocked. In this scenario, we'll be pretending that it's blocked by fire, and that what we would call the RIT crew, the rapid intervention team, needs to go in and get that firefighter and get back out.
Okay.
So it's going to be a very quick entry and exit and moving quickly with the firefighter. They're also going to be using an unconventional method of getting in this case a window, because the doorway is now blocked.
Okay, excellent. And how about we have another house a little bit further behind us there. We're going to be doing some scenarios in there. Same thing, I believe, right?
Correct. We'll be doing another mayday scenario there, similar where the downed firefighter is trapped. In this particular case, they're going to be in the interior of the building, trapped inside a room, and the door they came in is now closed and can't be used. So the firefighters are going to have to work on going in a different way. And in this particular scenario, they're going to work on going in through a wall. And so breaching a wall and then bringing that firefighter back out. This creates a challenge because the walls are going to be more narrow than we are, especially once we have packs and all our gear on. And so firefighters are going to have to work how they get through there and then how they get back out with the firefighter. In some cases, it'll mean taking their SCBA, their air pack off. They can't disconnect from it, of course, because they need that air, but they're going to have to work with it, not on their back like we typically do. And
okay.
So it creates a challenge for communication, teamwork, a little bit of creativity, and getting it in. And then, of course, now when you come back out, you have a firefighter with you, which in our scenario will be an unconscious person. So you're going to have to take care of that person and get them back out.
Okay, and then our third scenario we have over at the White House over there.
Correct. And so our third scenario is a little bit more focused on the self-rescue initially, and one of the scenarios is what we would call a bailout, where firefighters are on the second level of the building. In this particular scenario, this one is less of a scenario and more just of working through how we do this. It's a little more of a class, but they'll be bailing out of a second-story window. So coming out head first onto a ladder and then doing a pivot so that they're right side up basically, and then they can walk themselves down the ladder. So that's a scenario that we could encounter in a situation, a structure fire, where the heat has become too intense, possibly the room has flashed over. We need to bail out quickly.
Okay, and then there's one more in there you said also.
Correct, there is. There's another one on the lower level where we've been able to actually make a hole into the basement so that floor is open. And so the firefighters will be practicing a couple of different kinds of rescue for someone who's gone through a basement. So for example, if you had a basement fire, the floor has become compromised, firefighters fall through that floor, you now need to get them back out. How are you going to do it?
How frequently do we do this training as far as these methods of getting in and out of buildings?
We formally do firefighter safety and survival twice. This is something that is part of our work, so it's built into other training scenarios that we might be working on and having conversations about, practicing communications or other things like that. But formally, we dedicate 2 times a year to making sure all of our firefighters get to go through a firefighter safety and survival training.
Excellent, and it's a great opportunity that we have a couple of these buildings that are available to us for training versus trying to figure out how we do it at a station or our training site. This puts a little more realism to that, correct?
It does, and I'm not sure how many people understand how important this is to us, because we can certainly have training facilities like the Able facility in Burnsville that we get to use, outstanding facility. However, we know that facility very well because we've been there a lot. So it's very difficult to get disoriented, very difficult to be unfamiliar with where you are. Whereas here, most of our firefighters have not been inside these buildings, so when they go in a couple of minutes it'll be dark. We've smoked one of the buildings up with fake smoke, so it's going to be more challenging to operate in there, which is very similar to what it would be like for us on an actual call.
Excellent. Thank you for joining me on Chief's Corner, and I appreciate all the info on the training.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief. Here's a look at just some things happening around the department. We have had several vehicle fires since our last show, including this truck that caught fire while driving down the road. The driver pulled over and got out of the truck. Eventually, the entire vehicle was burning until firefighters were able to arrive and put out the fire. If you have watched our show in the past, you might have heard us talk about spontaneous combustion with wood chips. While the exact cause of the fire couldn't be pinpointed, having wood chips sitting in a pickup for an extended amount of time and containers of gasoline mixed in is not a good idea. The owner of this SUV went to Cub Foods for a little grocery shopping. When she came out, the vehicle was fully engulfed in flames. Firefighters quickly got the fire out, but there is not much left of this truck. The cause of the fire was undetermined. A couple nights later, in the middle of the night, this box truck near Applebee's was burning away. The truck was being used by a crew that was cleaning the hoods in the restaurant. Firefighters put out the fire, but the truck was a total loss. The cause of the fire was from a small engine that was running that was being used for the cleaning. While en route, this garbage truck had its load start on fire, so he pulled into the parking lot of Fire Station 3 and was put out. The department has responded to a number of fires recently. Most somehow were cooking related. We had a major structure fire at a residence off 172nd Street in late September. This fire started in the garage, but then started to spread to the house. It took firefighters some time to get the fire under control. The house sustained major damage and the residents will be out for some time. The cause of the fire was from cooking with a deep fryer in the garage that was left on while everyone was in the house eating what they had just cooked. Just a reminder that cooking in the garage is not a good idea, and always turn off the heating source when you're done. There were a handful of kitchen fires at a number of homes, including this one at Queen Anne Mobile Home Park. This kitchen fire at another mobile home is a good reminder not to store things in your oven and then turn it on to cook something. And this kitchen was located in one of the South Fork townhomes near County Road 50 and I-35. We responded to this kitchen fire at a unit located in the Oaks Apartments near downtown Lakeville. With all these kitchen fires, this is a good time to remind everyone to stay in the kitchen while cooking and to have a fire extinguisher nearby. One thing the fire department is doing to prevent these types of fires is donating fire stops to local apartment managers. These devices hang over the stovetop and will spread a suppressant if a fire starts. While this incident at BTD Manufacturing wasn't technically a kitchen fire, it did occur in a large industrial oven. For some reason, employees thought it would be a good idea to cook some waste from the business, changing it into a solid so they could simply throw it away instead of disposing of it properly. Whoever thought of this idea didn't think it through, as the waste was in cardboard boxes that were cooked to over 500 degrees. Well, those boxes started on fire, and we had to put it out. And the final incident to report is a major fire that destroyed a mobile home off of Pilot Knob. The fire appears to have somehow started in a bedroom. While the exact cause couldn't be determined, take caution this holiday season when using candles in your home. And that's just some of the things happening around the fire department.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Hi, I'm Todd McNamara, firefighter out of Lakeville Station 1. And today's Ask the Firefighter question comes to us from Jack, and he asks, how often should a chimney from a wood-burning fireplace be cleaned? Thanks for the question, Jack. The answer to your question relies a lot on how often you use your fireplace. The National Fire Protection Association says chimneys, fireplaces, and vents shall be inspected at least once a year for soundness, freedom from deposits, and correct clearances. Cleaning, maintenance, and repairs shall be done if necessary. So even if you don't use your chimney a whole lot, birds, squirrels, raccoons, and other critters may have been using your chimney, making it unsafe to use without clearing out the accumulated debris from nesting activity. The job of the chimney sweep is to remove soot, blockages, and buildup of creosote from the chimney liner, firebox, smoke, chamber, and damper. Ideally, before the start of the burning season, during the spring, summer, or early fall is a great time to get your chimney inspected and/or cleaned. And don't forget, when you are removing ashes yourself, place them in a metal container and keep them outside, away from the house. Thanks for your question, Jack. If you have a question for Ask the Firefighter, use the contact information on the screen.
is I, Spot the fire dog, because I like to spot and stomp out the fires. Hey, I've been walking through the woods here around the fire station number 1, thinking about fire sprinklers. And you know what? Hey, there's a lot of activity going on by fire station number 1. I'm wondering if there's someone over there that can help me find out a little bit about fire sprinklers. Hey, let's head on over there and see what's up. Hey, Jay, fire inspector here at Lakeville. It's me, Spot. How you doing?
Hey, Spot. Did you come to see the fire sprinkler trailer demonstration?
Well, you know, I've been thinking all morning about fire sprinklers, and I just can't wrap my arms around what is fire sprinklers.
Well, people are starting to put residential fire sprinklers in their house. We've had them in townhomes before. Now they're going in larger homes here in Lakeville.
All right, and they've been in businesses for years, correct?
Correct. Businesses, we've had them.
And how do they work, Jay?
So normally with the sprinkler head, we've got this little bulb in here.
Ooh.
So once the heat gets to 155 degrees,
Yeah.
that bulb, the inside liquid heats up,
Yeah.
and it breaks the glass, okay?
Ooh.
When it breaks the glass, this end is hooked into water, okay?
Okay.
And you probably see it it's behind the wall, okay? So then the linkage will pop out, the water comes out and sprays off the deflector. This one we actually call a sidewall head. So this mounts to the side of a wall. The water will spray up on the deflector and shoot across the wall.
Very good.
So with our trailer, what we do is we have a garbage can that we light some newspaper on fire. Then it goes and catches the drape on fire. The fire goes up the wall. Once the heat and stuff gets to the ceiling, it's got nowhere else to go. So it shoots across the wall, and the sprinkler head's on the far side from where the garbage can is.
Now, the thing about these fire sprinklers, if they go off, do they go off in like every zone in out to your house, or is it just each individual sprinkler?
I think you've seen the Dairy Queen flamethrower commercial.
Yeah.
Where everybody gets wet.
Yeah.
These heads work independently, so
Okay.
one at a time. So this one will go off, the other one will be far enough away that the water will not wash the next head. So one head will go, if the fire's big enough, it may launch a second head where that bulb would break out and we'd get 2 heads going.
Okay, Jake, I gotta ask you, now when these fire sprinklers go off, don't they have lots and lots of water getting sprinkled all over the place? And won't that cause more water damage to the home?
Well, there is water that comes out, okay? This probably shoots about 13 gallons in a minute.
Wow.
But if you were to wait for the fire department to get there and we would use our fire hose, I can spray up to 175 gallons a minute. So that's a lot more water from the fire hose than from the sprinkler head.
So these are really a good thing to have.
They are. They put the fire out faster, and if you were sleeping at night, you wouldn't even have to wake up to use a fire extinguisher. These just go off automatically. When there's enough heat, they sense the heat, it pops and breaks, and then it sprays the water.
Oh, Jay, this is so fantastic. It was so amazing running into you here at Fire Station number 1. Thank you so much for telling me about fire sprinklers, Jay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll see you next time, folks, because this is Spot the Fire Dog, because I like to spot and stomp out the fires. Hey, Jay, come on, let's go in and look at some more
All right, let's
stuff
go.
in the trailer here. This is great.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of LFD On Call. And I hope you enjoyed the open house this year. If you have questions, comments, an idea for the program, or would like to send a question in for the Ask the Firefighter segment, please call 952-985-4700 or send an email to the address at the bottom of your screen. Thanks for joining us, and all fire units are clear.